for Anganwadi workers has been now over, I think, almost 10 years that has not increased either. So in this context, we find that the Anganwadi budget has reduced. And what's also alarming is that it's in this pack we see that if you look at the data on the number of beneficiaries being covered by Anganwadi in their supplementary nutrition program, that has also been consistently coming down in the last 5 years. So we've given the numbers from 2016 onwards. So we can see a link between in this thing of underfunding, not having enough money, and this is something we've been seeing over the last few years, and the number of beneficiaries also going down. Another scheme again implemented by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, which is very important, is the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. This was started after the NFSA included an entitlement of at least 6,000 rupees for all pregnant and lactating women. This was again considered to be quite path-breaking, that for the first time we had a universal maternity entitlement, and something which in its vision had the idea of supporting women through their period of late pregnancy and breastfeeding. As we know, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months is the first essential intervention to address malnutrition, and this was in support of that, to allow the mother to be with the child, to be well nourished, to be able to feed her child. This again has now been clubbed with something called Samarthya, and that club Samarthya has the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, which would be the biggest component of it, but it also has the Mahila, the MSK gender budgeting also in that. So this, if we compare the budget allocation for PMMVY last year was 2,500 crores. The budget allocation for this club scheme, Samarthya, this year is 2,522 crores. So clearly, again, one can see that this is obviously not enough to cover all the eligible beneficiaries for a scheme which is already truncated, because the Act says all pregnant lactating women, but the scheme is only for the first birth. Act says at least 6,000 rupees, the scheme only gives 5,000 rupees. And even that the budget we find has reduced. The other schemes also that are there for children and child feeding, the school midday meal scheme, once again we see an increase in nominal terms from 11,000 crores last year to 11,500 crores this year, but in real terms that is not even enough to make up for inflation. So midday meal also, you see that the number of beneficiaries has been coming down over the years. So one issue is this, that if we don't even put funds behind these programs, there is no point having new schemes and new names being announced every year if they are not backed by resources. And it is quite alarming that given the situation of child malnutrition, this is what we see in the budget. Just one last point I want to make, and again figures are there in what we have given you, is that not only has the budget reduced this year we are restarting these programs on the backs of 1 year of them being that not being implemented. Anganwadis were closed, schools were closed, continue to be closed in most places, and that is reflected in the revised budgets as well. So last year we have hardly spent 50% of what was allocated for maternity entitlements. We've spent much less than what was allocated for Anganwadi last year. So in fact, this year one would have expected even bigger push, not only because of the NFHS 5 results, not only because of years of underfunding, but also because of 1 year of everything being tough. So we needed even much more to even revive schemes back to the level at which they were. So I won't go into further detail. So that is all the numbers that I shared with you are in this handout that we've given you. They're all from the official budget documents which are there on the India Budget website. So I request now Ron to speak. So each one of us will speak for about 5 minutes and then we take questions.
Hello, my name is Jean Drez. I'm a visiting professor in the Department of Economics at Ranchi University and part of the Right to Food campaign. I'll just make 3 brief general remarks. The first one is that this year's budget reflects the central government's denial of the livelihood crisis that continues to devastate the informal sector in India. According to one of the surveys that Deepa referred to a survey by Azim Premji University, which has just been released. Informal sector workers today are still earning only about half of what they were earning before the lockdown. This is the situation today, and by the way, for many of them, the lockdown continues in one form or another. The trains are still not running, except the fast speed train for the middle class, but the passenger trains are not running. The schools are closed, the Anganwadis are closed, the jails are not accessible for visits, the courts, the district courts are running at half capacity. All kinds of services and facilities are still not functional, and that affects huge sectors of the economy and the livelihood of these workers. This situation calls for bold measures that serve the dual purpose of putting money in people's hands and stimulating the economy. And very few measures of that kind can be found in the budget. The situation also called for special attention to be paid to vulnerable groups such as children, pregnant women, the elderly, and others. Instead of that, again, we find virtually no mention of any of these groups in the budget documents. If you look at the finance minister's budget speech, for example, there is no mention of children, 40% of the population, except once or twice tangentially in context like hearing impairments. The budget allocation for ICDS, as Deepa has explained, has been cut. So has the budget for maternity benefits under the PMMDY, and even the budget for school education. The Department of School Education is getting less this year in money terms than last year. And the budget for the National Social Assistance Program, the lifeline for the elderly, widows and disabled persons, is copy-pasted from last year's budget. So it's basically lower in real terms. So overall, with the partial exception of increases in health expenditure, lower than the government claims.
Mic is not the mic works.
I'll try to speak louder if you.
So if you can come ahead.
Yeah. So I was just concluding that with the partial exception of some increase in health expenditure, the budget has very little to offer to those who are still reeling under the devastating impact of the economic recession precipitated by the COVID-19 crisis and the national lockdown. Second point is that this is the second time that ICDS, midday meals and related critical nutrition programs, the budgets of this program are being cut by the NDA government. It happened the first time in the 2015-16 budget, the first full budget of the NDA government, when there were massive cuts in ICDS and midday meals, initially as much as 50% in ICDS and 36% in midday meals, partially reversed later in the year because it's just too outrageous, to the extent that the government's own Women and Child Development Minister, Maneka Gandhi, had to protest because she was not even able to pay the salaries. So it was a partial reversal later in the year, but still there were deep cuts to the extent that they have not been reversed to this day. In fact, I was just looking at some numbers. I can give you the detailed numbers if you like. But if you look at the budget for ICDS in real terms today, adjusted for inflation, it is about 25% lower than in 2014, 7 years ago, despite high economic growth for as long as 7 years. And for midday meals, it's lower in real terms by 33%, if you want the exact figures I can give them to you. So we've seen a big attack on these critical programs, all the more difficult to understand at this time when there is evidence of stagnation in child nutrition indicators in the last 5 years, and of course enhanced food insecurity during the lockdown. As Deepa has explained, these cuts in expenditure get reflected in lower services. In the handout there is a graph called declining coverage, where you can see the ICDS services declining year after year. Third point is that we are all here, part of the Right to Food campaign. The campaign started almost exactly 20 years ago. And I think that the campaign, along with of course many others, can take some credit for ensuring that India finally has some semblance of social security system for the informal sector, consisting for the time being of 6 pillars. The public distribution system, first and foremost, NREGA, the Employment Guarantee Act in rural areas, pension schemes, very critical as I mentioned for elderly people, widows and disabled persons, maternity entitlements, ICDS, and midday meals. At least 4 of these 6 programs are being severely attacked today with budget cuts and have been neglected for a very long time. For the time being, NREGA and the PDs are still being tolerated, but with some reluctance. So behind the budget cuts that we are discussing today, there's a larger and even more alarming story of abdication in the field of social security and social policy. Finally, if I can add on a slightly more positive note for those who are watching online, tomorrow, by way of educating the finance minister and the prime minister, who are obviously not aware that all pregnant women in India are entitled to maternity benefits under the National Food Security Act, we will be releasing a short film called Janam or Jivan. The trailer is available today on Twitter. If you look at the Rose Scholars timeline, you will find it quite easily. So I'm hoping that many people will watch it and help to circulate it. Thank you very much. Janam or Jivan.
And if you could please give us those figures for ICDS and midday meal later
If
maybe.
I can take 2 more minutes, I'll give you a shortcut set of figures, and if you want more detailed figures, I'll give them to you personally after the.
Sure.
So if you look at, let's start with ICDS. Around in 2014, before the first round of cuts, okay, the budget was about 16,000 crores per year. Okay, at today's prices, that would roughly correspond to 23,000 crores. So 23,000 crores is what we need today, just to maintain the level in real terms, without even accounting for population growth, improvement in services, nothing like that. Just maintain in absolute terms, real terms, what was there before. The section budget, which includes ICDS, is about 20,000 crores. And if the share of ICDS in that package of programs is the same this year as it was last year, which I think is optimistic, that means that the ICDS itself will get a little less than 17,000 crores.
17.
17,000, that's right. So if you divide 17,000 by 23,000, it's about 75%. So that's what I meant, that 25% cut in return. Similar calculations, midday meals was about 12,000 before the cuts in 2014, and now it's this year 11,500. So it's less in money terms than it was 7 years ago. In real terms, 12,000 crores in 2014 would be about 17,000 crores today. 17,000 crores, that's correct. So if you divide 11,500 by 17,000, you get 2/3, so 1/3 cut. These are roughly the figures.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, and I hope you know, Jean talked about the 6 pillars that we have for food security. The budget also talked about 6 pillars, which were very different. I request Dr. Vandana Prasad, who is also with the Right to Food campaign, Jan Swasthya Abhiyan and Public Health Resource Network.
Thanks very much. I'm a community pediatrician and I've spent the last 26 years working on programs on the ground on malnutrition, and the 2 economists and Right to Food campaign activists before me have laid out the facts of the budget, to which I really don't have much to add. I mean, I think to start with, we're all extremely shocked and dismayed by what we've seen from the budget. It's almost incomprehensible that a budget that follows hard on the heels of the reveal of the NFHS 5, which you already know the data from, should have been so blatant in its disregard for malnutrition and for children. Really, I mean, there's really not much to say after saying this, because how do you explain this? With UNICEF, WHO, everybody has been predicting rises in child mortality and malnutrition in our country and across the globe. Would any country have brought out a budget straight after this pandemic and this crisis, and the data that has shown that all the increases between NFHS 3 and 4, basically 2010 to 2015, have practically been reversed in the last 5 years preceding the pandemic. We still have data to arise from NFHS 5 that will cover states, that will give us some information on what's happened during the time of the pandemic, and that is likely to show further deterioration. And what is the response to that? The response is cuts and deductions. What does it say about the intent of the government is really, up to all of us in so-called civil society to really express and to analyze. I think the only thing I'm going to focus on the ICDS majorly, and why? Because perhaps it's not sufficiently understood that the Anganwadi system is the only village level platform for all schemes, all programs, all interventions for women and child health and nutrition. It's the last mile connectivity for whatever you may plan in policy and program. When it goes down to so-called beneficiaries who are actually citizens with rights, that is the scheme and the only scheme that connects them to any entitlement. And how have we treated this massive program, which is, just now it's supposed to be a universal program, thanks to the Supreme Court, case and all the effort that all of us collectively made to push for this to happen. So 14 lakh Anganwadis odd across the country, still not fully universalized, still only, say, perhaps at best 50 to 60% coverage for children. The only scheme for women and child health and nutrition and for malnutrition. How we treated this over the last 45 years? What are the indicators by which we could look at that? What is the infrastructure? See, schemes and programs are not delivered by stone walls. They're delivered at the end of the day by human beings. Human beings who have to have training, who have to have empathy, who have to have concern, and they're doing they are considered essential workers doing all the work. What has been done for these workers over the last 45 years? They're still not called workers. They're still not called workers. They have to deliver all the programs, including the pandemic programs, the COVID programs, the election programs, all programs at village level. And they're still not workers. They haven't received a single paisa in this budget, where 3 lakh crores extra is there for government functionaries as part of our revenue expenditure. Am I wrong in that? 3 lakh crores extra for government officials. We don't begrudge them that. It includes their social securities, of pensions and so on. We don't begrudge them that. But what about these 14 into 2 Anganwadi worker and helper, 28 lakh, 30 lakh people who are working there, they're partially employed women, not treated as employment. So there is a distinct interface between employment crisis that Jean was talking about, gender and gender budgeting, and the Anganwadi system, where in one fell swoop, if you really had intent to tackle any of these things, the employment crisis, gender issues, women's employment, women's rights as workers, you could just have agreed that they are workers and paid them their decent wages, and all three would have been tackled in one fell swoop, as well as deliver what is needed on the ground for women and children and for their nutrition. But it is such a dramatic fact that, we've been struggling at best. Some states have done better than others, Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu and so on and so forth, with wages. But what is the central intent that is, suggested by these themes? They have unions have been fighting and arguing and asking and demanding and pleading for the last, I don't know how many decades, and we've all been party to those conversations. What do we get for that? Every finance commission raises the salaries of our formal sector and in the government. Why not for them? Who's asking these questions? So we know that apart from the NFHS 5 figures, we know that the diversity, the dietary diversity of our children at best is around 9%. 9% of Indian children are getting decent food. So where is the money to enhance anything with this cut in the ICDS now? What's going to happen to the supplementary nutrition program? Leave alone asking for more. This is not even covering a status quo. What are they actually saying? What are they saying for children? What are they saying for women who are in employment? With the government, in a government program, what are they saying for these women? What are they saying for the children? What are they saying for the people of entitlements at village level? And this affects education. We're talking about early childhood care and education. It affects health. And Jean, you said that health is perhaps the only sector that's gone up. The announcement is 137%. The actual go up is what? 10%. Who are we trying to fool in this budget? But all of welfare, all of social protection, all social security is cut down. What has gone up? Please focus, look, examine what has actually gone up. And I think we don't need much examination because they've been very upfront about it, this budget around, the whole ideology and the thrust of the budget is pretty much upfront. And that is really to cut back on all social securities, all so-called subsidies and so on. There's been much research, I think IFPRI and others have been, there's a lot of research to show that ICDS is also the pathway to whatever increases happen in malnutrition. So ICDS services and their delivery, their outreach and their quality, they correspond directly to gains in malnutrition. So there's evidence. This government says it's evidence-based. Have they looked at NFHS 5 evidence? Obviously not. Have they looked at all this research pathway evidence? Obviously not. So where is the evidence basis for any action at all on malnutrition? I mean, I would ask them, what is this looks to be a politics based. Finally, I only want to say that it's very clear that if children had been a vote bank, if they had actually delivered votes in the states that are going up for elections, perhaps you might have seen some raise. But it's very clear that them not being a vote bank, they don't get anything out of this government and this particular budget, and it's really one of the saddest days for people who've been working in child rights and across the board on malnutrition, health, and so on and so forth. I think it's also a very sad day for women, for working women in particular, that this budget has been so very blatant in its disregard. So that's really all I want to say for now. Welcome questions.
Just want to mention that these cuts have to be seen against the fact that the budget as a whole has increased quite a bit. All the comparisons we are making is between the budget this year and the budget last year, not the actual expenditure last year. The budget this year is about 15% more than the budget last year. So overall it's growing, but somehow the axe is falling on children in such a dramatic manner. Second point, which I think has been made, just to remind you, there are two big issues. One is these budget cuts that we talked about quite a bit, and the other is the underspending last year vis-a-vis the budget estimate. For all these programs, Middle PMLDY, ICDS, there's been dramatic underspending, so there were resources that could have been used. Of course, partly because the annual closed and so on. But nevertheless, these resources were there. They could have been used to protect children and women and others and children and so on from the devastating impact of the lockdown. And instead of that, they have been grossly underused.
In some sense, siphoning off of the budget from women and children into wherever it's gone.
But just for the supplementary nutrition program, what is it specifically? SMP, it should be also slashed?
Yes.
So SMP is basically the name given through Anganwadi centers. Children, pregnant and lactating women are given nutrition that is called supplementary nutrition. And supplementary nutrition program is the food that ICDS
The
gives.
0 to 6, that's what the 0 to 6,
Yeah.
So
right?
ICDS
So we
does
just-
affect SMP.
So it's just called SMP?
It's the So ICDS has different components. SMP is one, preschool education is one.
So
and
it's
so
the
on.
nutrition component.
It's the nutrition component of ICDS. Just two more figures I want to highlight, and then I'll ask Chirashri to speak, which is also in the handout in the context of what Vandana and John was saying, that this Hub Center for Child Rights brings out the budget for children document, and they find that children in the last 10 years, the budget for children is the lowest share of the union budget in the last 10 years. It was this time around. It was 4.76% in 2012-13. 21-22, only 2.46% of the total spend of the union budget is going to children, who are 40% of our population. 2.46% this year. It was 4.76% in 2012-13. So just as a share of the union budget, it's halved.
This is the share of expenditure. Total
Share of the
expenditure.
budget for children.
Not expenditure, allocation.
Allocation.
No. So 2.46% of what?
Of total union budget.
Total union budget.
Chirashri works with mobile creches. She's also part of the Delhi Roti Roti Adhikar Abhiyan, which is part of the Right to Food campaign.
Clarification from Vandana, or do we have to do?
If it's a clarification, go ahead. If it's a question, we can.
Anyway, first of all, my gratitude to all of you for raising these very important issues and what you all did when starting the Right to Food campaign. I was present in the Supreme Court hearings, and you all did make a phenomenal difference. The Right to Food became an act, and there have been, the voiceless people cannot express gratitude, but at least let me say that since I have been following you all from 2002. Now the point I want to make is, the question I want to ask you, Vandana, is what you said is very disturbing. And I want to ask you that when you say that women's rights have been violated as as employers, and these are the women who are bringing the schemes to the children. One, you are saying that Anganwadi workers are not being given their proper wages. Is that right?
Yes. They don't get wages, they get something called an honorarium. A poor woman, they belong to villages themselves, they get what's called an honorarium on the grounds that they do only part-time work, but the fact remains that they actually do a fairly full day's work. I mean, there's plenty of quantitative.
And how much is it now?
It depends from state to state.
3,500 from central and the top up is from
Yeah, so the top up is what the central government gives.
So how much would they be getting per day?
So in a state like Bihar, they get something like 4,200 rupees per month.
In most states, it ranges around 6,000. In some states, it's lower than that. In some of the southern states, they actually get a proper wage. So,
Like Telangana is now 10,000.
Delhi is 10,000.
Delhi is 10,000. Tamil Nadu is I think 18,000, something around that.
Have you mentioned this in your handout? Okay, I'll be in touch with you. And the others is who?
Can we just let Shirashri finish and we can take
थैंक यू। मुझे ज़्यादा कुछ बोलने की नहीं है क्योंकि ऑलरेडी इस पर काफ़ी डिटेल बात हो गई, पर मैं फील्ड से हूँ तो मैं फील्ड की रियलिटी पे थोड़ा सा आप लोगों को बात करूँगी। मैं शाहबाद डेयरी में काम करती हूँ। वहाँ पे पिछले इस 4 महीने में हमने देखा कि औरतें ने कहा कि आंगनबाड़ी नहीं खुलने की वजह से उनका एक बच्चे का डेथ हो गया क्योंकि वो खाना नहीं दे पा रहे। तो आंगनबाड़ी के बंद हो जाने से बहुत ज़्यादा प्रभाव बच्चों के ऊपर पड़ा है क्योंकि उनके एक न्यूट्रिशन सिक्योरिटी नहीं हो पा रही है आंगनबाड़ी नहीं खुलने की वजह से। तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि अगर आंगनबाड़ी से बच्चे की न्यूट्रिशन फुलफिल हो रहा है, इसमें बजट कट हो रही है, तो बच्चों के ऊपर लास्ट बच्चे के ऊपर कितना असर हो रहा है और हर साल कट होने के वजह से बच्चों तक जो सेवाएं पहुंचनी चाहिए वो पहुंच नहीं पा रही है। तो ये हम जब भी फील्ड में काम करते हैं, लोगों के साथ बात करते हैं, तो बहुत ज़्यादा हमें चिंता होती है कि हम बहुत रिपोर्ट्स में हम देख रहे हैं बार बार, चाहे वो ग्लोबल हंगर रिपोर्ट हो या NFHS डेटा हो, हर डेटा में हम देख रहे हैं कि बच्चों की स्थिति इतनी भयानक होते जा रही है और आने वाले समय में यूनिसेफ का रिपोर्ट बता रहा है कि 3 लाख बच्चों की मृत्यु हो जाएगी। तो ऐसी स्थिति में अगर हम बजट में हमेशा कटौती करेंगे तो हम कैसे ऐसे देश की कल्पना कर सकते हैं जहाँ पे बच्चे एक सही तरीके से एक ह्यूमन कैपिटल नहीं होंगे, तो बच्चे कैसे आगे बढ़ेंगे। तो मेरा जो इस बजट से प्रतिक्रिया है, एक तो है कि जो मर्जिंग कर रही है सरकार, जैसे सक्षम ICDS, पहले अमरेला ICDS थी, अब सक्षम ICDS की बात कर रही है जिसमें पोषण और सप्लीमेंट्री न्यूट्रिशन को एक साथ मर्ज कर रहे हैं। तो उसमें एलोकेशंस को अलग अलग करके नहीं दिखा रहे, तो उससे काफ़ी हमें मुश्किल होती है कि ईच स्कीम्स में क्या एलोकेटेड बजट है। तो ये ट्रांसपेरेंसी होनी चाहिए कि एक कॉमन पर्सन उसको एक्सेस कर पाए कि ईच स्कीम्स में क्या बजट है। तो ये एक प्रतिक्रिया है कि होनी चाहिए। दूसरा, जो वंदना जी ने काफ़ी कहा कि जो आंगनवाड़ी और आशा वर्कर है, हेल्थ वर्कर है, इस कोविड के दौरान उन्होंने एक वॉरियर का काम किया और हमने बोला भी उनको वॉरियर, पर उनकी कोई भी काम की रिकॉग्निशन नहीं है और अभी भी हम उनको ऑनरेरियम पे करते हैं और उनसे इतनी सारी काम लेते हैं, चाहे वो ऑन ड्यूटी वाला काम हो या इलेक्शन ड्यूटी हो, बहुत सारे मल्टीपल टास्क। पोषण अभियान में कोई एक्स्ट्रा टीम नहीं रखी गई है, सब काम इस पूरे आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर के कंधों में होती है, चाहे वो स्वास्थ्य पखवाड़ा हो या स्वास्थ्य संबंधी जानकारी हो। तो पूरी की पूरी आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर के ऊपर इतना काम का बोझ होते हुए भी उनको मिनिमम वेजेस हम नहीं दे रहे हैं और इतना एक ऑनरेरियम के रूप में दे रहे हैं, तो वो एक बहुत ज़रूरी है कि उनके काम को मान्यता मिले। तीसरा मेरा है कि जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है ग्राउंड लेवल पे, वो किस तरह से बहुत रोबस्ट तरीके से हो पाए, वो हमें देखने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि बजट जब भी होती है उसका इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जब तक सही नहीं ग्राउंड में लेवल पे होगा तब तक शायद हम अच्छे से उस कार्यक्रम का क्वालिटीपूर्ण इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो वो एक हमारा है। चौथा है कि मैपिंग 2013 में हुई थी कि 14 लाख आंगनवाड़ी की जरूरत है और उसमें भी सैंक्शन 14 लाख था, अभी ऑन ग्राउंड 13,80,000 है, अभी भी 20,000 आंगनवाड़ी नहीं खुली हुई है और वो 2013 की मैपिंग हुई है। तो इस बीच में इतने बच्चे पैदा हुए, तो उन बच्चों को क्या हम इस आंगनवाड़ी से नहीं जोड़ पा रहे। तो बहुत जरूरी है कि सही से मैपिंग फिर से होनी चाहिए, कितने बच्चों को आंगनवाड़ी की सुविधाएं मिलनी चाहिए और गुणवत्ता में। तो एक मैपिंग भी अभी नहीं हुई है। और इसमें मैं कहना चाहूँगी वनरेबल चिल्ड्रन है, चाहे चिल्ड्रन में डिसेबिलिटी हो और माइनॉरिटी बच्चे, उन तक ये सेवाएं नहीं पहुंच पा रही। और बहुत सारे डेटा इसके एविडेंट है कि चिल्ड्रन में डिसेबिलिटी बच्चे, क्योंकि वो उस चाइल्ड फ्रेंडली डिसेबल बच्चों के लिए बनाए नहीं। आंगनवाड़ी में जो रेंट दी जा रही है इतना कम है, जहाँ पे गाँव में तो पंचायत भवन और वैसे जगह है, पर अधिकतर शहर गली में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है इतने छोटे छोटे जगह पे ICDS है कि जहाँ पे वो बच्चे एक्सेस ही नहीं कर सकते, बैठ ही नहीं सकते, अंदर घुस ही नहीं सकते। तो ऐसे बच्चों को कैसे हम रीच आउट कर पाएंगे आंगनवाड़ी में। फिर मेरा सवाल है कि हम देख रहे हैं कि विमेन वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन घट रहा है और उसके लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि बच्चे को पूरे दिन के लिए क्रश की व्यवस्था हो, वो व्यवस्था नहीं हो रही। और NCS एक छोटा सा स्कीम है जो NGO एडेड स्कीम है और वो पोअरली फंडेड है और हर साल उसमें कटौती हो रही। पहले 200 करोड़ से 150 और लास्ट ईयर 75 था, 50 करोड़ फिर अभी दिया, मतलब लास्ट ईयर दिए गए। इस साल इसकी कोई स्पष्ट नहीं है कि इसमें कितना दिया जाएगा। तो ये एक लगातार जो पूरे दिन के लिए एक सेवा है, जो बच्चे की पूरी देखभाल, जो माएँ काम पे जा रही उनको देखरेख करने के लिए जरूरत है, वो लगातार कट रही है उसके फंड। और चौथा मेरा है कि जो न्यू कोड्स आई है, पहले जो लेबर लॉस के अंदर 8 स्कीम के अंदर क्रशेस की बात की गई थी और अब उसको 4 कोड्स में दिया गया। वहाँ पे हम देख रहे हैं कि क्रशेस को एक मैंडेटरी नहीं दिया गया कि अगर स्टेट के ऊपर डिपेंड किया जाएगा, और साथ ही उन्होंने नेबरहुड क्रशेस की भी बात करी। तो एम्प्लॉयर की जिम्मेदारी जहाँ थी वहाँ एम्प्लॉयर की जिम्मेदारी को भी हटाया जा रहा है। तो ये बहुत बड़ा सवाल है कि जहाँ बच्चों की देखरेख की बात माँ काम पे जा पाए, पेरेंट्स काम पे जा पाए, वो चीज को बढ़ाने के बजाय उनको अकाउंटेबल एम्प्लॉयर को नहीं बना रहे। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है कि कैसे हम एम्प्लॉयर को अकाउंटेबल कर सकते हैं। पर न्यू जो कोड्स आ रहे हैं धीरे धीरे एम्प्लॉयर अकाउंटेबिलिटी को भी दूर करे। तो और मेरा इस बजट से और है कि स्टेट कम से कम इस चीज को समझे और स्टेट इसको टॉप ऑन करे, ताकि बच्चों तक जो सेवाएं पहुंचनी चाहिए वो गुणवत्तापूर्ण पहुंच सके।
थैंक यू चिरश्री। एक पॉइंट मैं जोड़ना चाहती हूँ, then we'll take question on this crashes कि सोशल सिक्योरिटी कोड के अभी जो रूल्स आए हैं, इन द कोड एंड इन द अमेंडेड मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट्स एक्ट, क्रैश को जेंडर न्यूट्रल किया गया। मतलब इफ देयर आर 50 वर्कर्स then it is mandated to open a crèche. But the draft rules that have been put up on the website have brought up women workers, brought back. So the rules say if there are 50 women workers, then you need to open a crèche. So the crèche entitlement has been again weakened, and on the other side, the national crèche scheme has no budget at all. We can now take questions.
Yeah, I'll just be very quick. I just want to say one thing, that you have documented that participation of women is declining in the workforce, okay? But the fact is, you can also see that prior to lockdown, look at the amount of building that is taking place in Delhi and elsewhere. It's being built up, and of course now they want to sell the land and all that. If there is no, this whole concept of crash, like only if you have 50 women workers, you will have a crash. But why is it that when we go anywhere, when any land transferred in the name of the people to either public or private, why is it that there is no children's room with attached toilet? That's it. When you can place a child, boy or girl, below 18 there. Because I have been witness at a voting, when I was there to vote, and there was culture, and the whole family was like, and we left, and I said, what happened? They said, we left a girl at home and somebody's broken into the house. This is the situation which is not even being documented anywhere. Women are not being able to participate in workforce because their children are vulnerable. We are the only country in the world that has reduced the Juvenile Justice Act age to try children as majors, even though they are minors. But what is happening to them? What are they facing? The level of abuse is undocumented. Child rape has gone up 400%, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I would ask you all, because all of you are committed and I have been watching you work, and I have a lot of admiration for Jean, Harsh, Aruna, all of you have been under so much attack. I express my gratitude. I ask, no, don't laugh, Jean, I mean it. I mean it. And the other thing is, yeah, I don't have to say this.
Sabri, it's not just every building. We have Delhi slums, plans. We have Delhi plans. Bharat Ghar, mall, all this land is given for. But for childcare services, no land.
Yeah,
Zero land.
yeah. I mean, any place you go to, you say, where will I leave my car? But for the children, it is dumped on the mother. And look at the state of where children are.
Patraleka and then Amaya. You know, I wanted to understand, Joyce, you could take the question, anybody else, economically. That was my first reaction also. This year they've clubbed these schemes, right? So I just want to understand from the economist's point of view, what would be the benefit of, I just want to understand because this is the station. So, because as you said, NFHS 3 and NFHS 4, when we compare, we can see that the improvement is happening in some of the indicators that is going down. Because we just have to go back into the official website and click and we can compare state and districts. Now, I want to understand from a layperson's point of view, a non-economist. Now, say next year, if you want to compare, now currently there's this merging of schemes. So, what would be the actual problem then in comparing? I just want to understand what is actually happening from the outside. If I want to compare data, how easy or difficult would it be?
Also, I'd like to add a question here. If you can just please repeat, what are the schemes which have been merged?
We have that also been.
If it's there in the handout, you don't need to repeat.
There's the manager and that is.
Okay.
So, Samarthya has Beti Bachao, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, gender budgeting, research, skill training, and Saksham has Umbrella ICDS, Poshan, scheme for adolescent girls and national prevention.
So these were all separate schemes earlier.
But in both cases, the bulk of them is the scheme that we are talking about. ICDS in the case of
So the implementation for all this is through the ICDS and the Anganwadi worker, the people.
So then it makes sense to merge them, does it not? If the implementation is through.
I just want to understand, how easy or difficult
Sure,
is it
so-
going to be to compare, like, the nutrition. How, say next day if you want to do it, what would happen? What would be the technical difficulty?
even if they are merged, I think that we should have enough information to do that.
I'm sorry?
Even if they merge 4 programs under an umbrella scheme, we call it Saksham or Samarth or whatever you like,
Yeah.
we should still be able to see the disaggregated budget health so that we can compare with last year.
Yeah.
So I think one possibility is that this is all to create confusion. Or it's a kind of public relations, we decide if you think that Saksham is on board and so on, and you want to give the impression that you are doing a lot when actually you are cutting the budget.
But the
Aisha has asked you to write that the session is open for question and answer.
Disaggregated data?
No, do you want me to write
And
जो भी questions आएंगे you'll have to let them know.
It's not, to my knowledge, it is not in the budget documents that were released this year.
So which means that it is going to be more difficult to make comparisons from year to year, right? Because
Yes,
of your...
what you can do, see, Saksham consists of 4 programs including ICDS.
Yeah.
ICDS is the bulk, 84% of it last year. Okay? What you can do is you can club the same 4 programs last year and compare with what is happening this year, which is basically what we have
See,
done.
can you open this page? I want to specifically answer your point. Does it make sense to combine? So, I think, we must look at implementation separately and budgeting separately.
Okay.
So, Poshan Abhiyan was this big, big ticket Abhiyan that was announced, and that had a large budget of 900 crores, I think.
9,000 crores
9,000,
over 3 years.
yeah. So, over 3 years. So, yeah, 9,000 crores over 3 years. So, that budget was never part of the ICDS budget. Keep that in mind, please. If you open this annexure and look at it, you know what I'm saying. So now the combined budget for everything is less than the individual budget for ICDS alone. And yet, even ICDS, even at any point of time, was implementing all those other programs that had separate budgets. But that budget never translated to an increase for the Anganwadi worker or the Anganwadi system. So if they're doing extra, what did that budget go into? It went into one MIS, one
So
information
I'll
system.
play the devil's advocate again. Now, what if you have a combined allocation here, 24,000, 17,000, whichever. I mean, 20,105 crores.
Yes, yeah.
for 2021, which is for Saksham, and it includes portion 2.0 and it includes ICDS and everything.
Yeah.
So doesn't it become sort of malleable and ductile in the sense that this is the amount, however much you might want to use for ICDS and want to inflate it later?
Not
That's
at all,
possible.
because the policy, the programmatic components of all those things won't change, no? So you have to see, they were going into some other money which is not going into the Anganwadis, building, the food, the
Okay.
worker at any
Okay.
point of time. So they were
Okay.
going into something else.
Okay.
That's something else.
So
has
this
not been
doesn't
shared.
offer more flexibility for asking for more funds.
Not one bit.
Since it's consolidated, and you can ask for more funds for, let's say, the creche scheme and less for ICDS, for
If that
example.
were the, if that were the case, the Anganwadi, if you institutionalize the Anganwadi system, give people their decent wages, make it a full-time work, give it a building, give it all everything that we've been demanding, and then you're running some programs to it, even then the programs, any additionality of program will require additional funds, no?
Do
So
we
that is
know
the-
what were the demand for grants for these schemes?
So, I don't have the exact numbers now, but the demand for grants for only ICDS was around 24 or 25,000 crores. The Parliamentary Standing Committee report says that it is unfortunate that every year these people are asking for more money. They're also spending all the money that we are giving them, so we must give them more because this is something very important. That of course did not happen. I'm sorry, we'll just take Anumeya's question and one more there because their hands have been up for long, and then we can talk.
So partly it's related to what Dr. Prasad was just already addressing. When you're saying their budget has been cut and their functions will be increased, and we are already hearing them discuss that vaccine program and all will also be done there. So my question was that when they will make this vaccination also run through the Anganwadi, is anything going to come to that center in another name, or will it get any infrastructure support to at least do that vaccination? Secondly, when the maternity benefit thing is already below what they're legally saying, is there anything already pending in courts, or is that a legal liability? And one, I had a question separately, you can choose if later also I can discuss it. When they've changed the PDS accounting, is that a good thing, bad thing? How do you think it will impact these programs? And also the income tax return thing for the richer above 75, that's also like, maybe I can ask that separately after the press conference. That's if wealthy's income, then does it become unaccounted?
I would like to ask you, what is this Vatsalya scheme going to give us? I think it's not a child protection scheme.
Any other? So we take the ones we have so far.
I mean, for the immunization, I think Asha will play a role, and because she never even got an honorarium, she only gets incentives for every little dance she performs, and that's been a matter of debate also. So I think that she possibly might get an extra incentive. Whether the Anganwadi worker will get anything extra or not, they tend not to do it like that. So, I mean, I doubt that they would get it. They may, we don't know, sure, but that's surely not the route to know about it. So, but everything, yeah,
In terms of infrastructure for that center itself, because that's the site of the vaccination.
So I think what Chirishri also said, and we know, and again there's data and facts that infrastructure is a big problem for all Anganwadi centers. Most of them don't have buildings, ramshackle buildings, running in verandas, water seeping. When child protection as an issue is so critical, we have not even actually talked about child protection. We're really talking about nutrition and but child protection. So the Anganwadi system also is the only system for child protection also. Only system for child protection also. So at the last mile, between all these schemes, programs, everything, it's like a big inverted pyramid, and the tip of that inverted pyramid is the Anganwadi worker and the Anganwadi system, and then it's the village. So, and that's where the critical bottleneck is. That's why you will not invest, you will not institutionalize, you will not put resources there. And whatever you do at the top, the bottleneck remains this tip of this steep pyramid, And why that doesn't happen is incomprehensible, because if you're caring about women, women's work, children, malnutrition, education, all these things that you claim to be, it's very simple. Just do this, get this piece right, because it affects so many things. So infrastructure going up is, I think, not going to, there are separate processes within the ICDS for that, which are inadequate. and need much more to be done for that. But just the fact that they've kept the ICDS separate, no, in this manner, and the budgetary allocation is a tiny budgetary allocation. Yeah, it's clubbed, and I mean it's as you say that tasks have gone up, responsibilities have gone up, and the total money has come down, and these other three, the ICDS plus the other three, other three components have not been cut. ICDS CAS will still operate, all the, give Androids for a whole lot of digital messaging and all, that will also continue. We haven't heard that any of these things are going to be cut back, and many of them shouldn't be cut back. Like, one would not want the National Credit Scheme to be cut back. That should have been enhanced even more. We did not want scheme for adolescent girls to be cut back. That should have been enhanced even more. We had some critique of the, Poshan Abhiyan per se, because it was not adding any value to people. It was not actually giving anything. It was just teaching people what to do and data. And data is important, but you all are newspaper people. You must have seen that for the last many months there's been no data in this data system.
How's the portal doing?
There is no.
That portal has just got these events, right?
Yeah.
It's just got events, list of events.
What it's counting is how many messages went out on Android phones, and the portal as it existed, which is an important data piece, but it's not working.
Can we just add to your question?
Since some of you are bringing up different schemes, and maybe wondering whether some of these schemes may be compensating for some of the budget cuts and so on, let me point out something I've just actually registered now, which is that if you look at the total budget of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, okay, massively come down, 30,000 crores in the last year's budget, and 24,400 crores in this year's budget. So it's a cut of about 20% in money terms. So in real terms, it will be more. So if you put everything you can together, you have a massive. This is almost as bad as what happened in 2016. 20% cut in money terms in the overall budget of women and child development. This is absolutely unbelievable.
What do you make of all the focus going on water now?
We'll add
PDS issue should be also.
Involve giving Anganwadi workers some digital devices. So, is there a way to get the expenditure that is made for that, like separate that expenditure from the actual outgo on food, like distributing food, etc.?
Yeah, so the Poshan Abhiyan budget did not have any outgo for food, for distributing food. There is Jagrati actually would know it even better, but the breakup that we know is, I think there are two components on which the Poshan Abhiyan funds were majorly spent, almost 80%. One is what they call ICDS CAS, which is the common application software, for which in a number of districts mobile phones were given to Anganwadi workers. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's good to streamline the whole data system in Anganwadi centers. Record keeping is a huge mess and a huge burden. And then building the software for that. And the other is what they call behavior change communication, which is basically to teach people what they should eat. So the understanding behind that was again that malnutrition and particularly poor diets amongst children, which the NFHS 4 shows is less than 10% children in the age group of 6 months to 2 years in our country eat adequate diets. That is because people don't know how to feed and what to feed. And so all these campaigns that we have been seeing, which have been centrally, the posters, you will see big billboards in most cities on the Poshan Abhiyan, and also at the level of the Anganwadi center, what Chirashri was talking about, this Poshan Pakhwada and some of the Poshan Ma, and you keep having these events, which are all run by the Anganwadi workers. So while she is doing preschool education, while she is doing home visits, while she is doing growth monitoring, while she is distributing supplementary nutrition, now she also has to do Poshan Pakhwada, she also has to do Poshan Ma. And what we know is that in most places, because this software did not really take off, she is entering on the phone and also in the register. So, which is not what it should have been, that is not the purpose. The portal does not have anything. The ICDS CAS data was never public. It has a link, but there you have to go and still enter some password to actually see the data. And there is the story that Jagrati did a few months back in the Hindu, which talks about how there is something wrong with the whole software portal thing. So currently it's not working, basically.
So I mean, just to clarify, we're not against many of these things, but it cannot be at the cost of the fundamentals that we need at all times. I think the PDS question is worth answering also. Maybe PDS, you might want to respond to that, the way the accounting is happened this time.
Yeah, I'll just come to the PDS. Sorry, I just wanted to add to also this thing of these schemes being clubbed. That currently, if you look at the ICDS budget, even if you look at only the ICDS budget, nothing is free. It's everything, every single paisa is earmarked. So much goes for salary, so much goes for per child, food cost, what goes for rent, what goes for buying study material for children. Everything is earmarked. So there is no flexibility in the program. And just because in the union budget thing they club it doesn't mean that that will bring flexibility. On the PDS, more complicated. I won't be able to give you all the numbers now. So if you look at the PDS budget this year,
Not so much how will it change the numbers, but say last year when it was being discussed that you have the grains, why aren't you disbursing them? One of the things was that because in accounting it will show up as a deficit sort of thing, so we are not doing it. So say if this summer if the same thing comes up, with this more straightforward accounting, does that make the dispersal easier? I understand how to be used politically, but does the dispersal become
hopefully,
simpler?
so what we see from the numbers that we have so far, this increase to 4 lakhs is partly because of the COVID PMGKY increase and partly to pay off old arrears. But that part which is there to pay off the old arrears is not enough to pay off all of FCI arrears. Next year what they have allocated again is partly to fund the NFSA grains for next year, and some of it will go back to paying FCI arrears. It still won't cover all of FCI arrears. So we don't know if this, it is good overall that it's at least reflecting here, but will that mean that they'll now start distributing grain? Because that will only increase the fiscal deficit even more. And the fiscal deficit concern has not gone. Even in this post-pandemic budget, the finance minister made sure to say that don't worry, it's 6.5% or whatever, but fiscal consolidation will happen. And we will go back to 3.5, 9.8 for last year and 6.5 projected for this year. Last year being current year, fiscal deficit projected at 9.5%. For 2020-21, for 21-22, 6.5.
Maternity benefit thing, is it a legal requirement on them, the 6,000?
Better explanation, yeah. There is an ongoing case in the Supreme Court where the PUCL is the petitioner and all of us in the Right to Food campaign have been supporting, making precisely this point. The explanation
I
is
just
there
wanted
in
to ask
GSI.
that for schemes like PMMVY, when we see that the revised estimate is only half of what was allocated, technically to basically fill up those gaps and to reach those beneficiaries, it should have been more
Absolutely. Yeah. And also PMMVY, I want to add that that's a DBT which they keep hailing, which could have happened even during the pandemic. And it was supposed to be just an online transfer.
But it has to be signed by the Anganwadi worker. That's the
Question. You have a question?
After the
If there are no more questions, then are there specific 2-3 things, if any, come to your mind where they are splurging more on the already rich or allowing concessions there, or say even this that older, even if you're wealthy, you don't have to file income tax returns. Where are they? Are you seeing any concessions?
still have to pay tax.
But I don't know if that.
It's about the formalities. That's all.
Sure. Just the paper requirement has been. But are they like here, the way you're seeing this drastic cut here, on the other hand,